The Stinky Giant by Ellen Weiss and Mel Friedman. A long time ago, a brother and sister lived in a beautiful valley. The sister's name was Pepper. The brother's name was Jake. They had a happy life. Every day, they sang songs and watched their sheep. They only had one problem. The problem's name was Urk. Urk was a huge, mean giant. He was rude. He was ugly. When Urk burped, it sounded like thunder. When he sneezed, houses blew away. Urk lived in a castle. It was way, way, way up on top of the mountain. Every Thursday, Urk washed his clothes. Urk's clothes were very big. Urk's wash tub was very big too. When he was done washing his clothes, Urk emptied his wash tub. The water came roaring down the mountain. It made a huge flood. Sometimes things were swept away. Sometimes some of Pepper and Jake's sheep were lost. So Pepper and Jake had to walk way down the valley to get their sheep back. Pepper and Jake were tired of Urk and Urk's laundry. One day, Jake fell into a big puddle of Urk's dirty wash water. He came out all stinky. "That's it. We're going to talk to Urk," said Jake. They looked up at Urk's castle. It would be hard to get there, but they knew they had to go. So they made some egg and salty pickle sandwiches. They filled their goatskin bag with water, and they set out to climb Urk's mountain. They climbed up, up, up. The higher they went, the colder it got. Their teeth chattered. Their sweat froze. After a while, they got hungry. They stopped to eat their sandwiches. Their lunch made them thirsty, but the water in the goat's skin was frozen solid. Finally, they arrived at the castle. They banged hard on the door. The door swung open. There, sitting at his table, was Urk. He was having a gigantic bowl of smelly soup. "Well," said the giant, "what do you want?" "We want you to stop flooding us with your dirty wash water," said Pepper. The giant's laughter boomed across the room. "Ha ha!" But Jake and Pepper scowled at him so he would know how serious they were. Urk just kept laughing. "Okay," Urk finally said. "I have an idea. We giants have a secret riddle. No one has ever been able to answer it. If you can't answer the riddle, I will boil you for soup, and I will throw your sheep in it too. If you can answer it, I lose. I will move away." "Where will you move to?" asked Pepper. "You can pick, because I won't lose," said Urk. Jake pointed to the map. "Here," he said. They shook on it. Urk gave them a riddle. "There is something you see every day, and it is one thing, but also three things. I'll give you 3 days to come up with the answer," shouted the giant. "Now go home!" Pepper and Jake went down, down, down the mountain. "Look," said Pepper. "The ice in the bag has turned back to water." Jake was so thirsty, he drank half the water. When they finally got home, they started thinking about the riddle. What could be one thing, but 3 things? They only had 3 days, or they would be Jack and Pepper and sheep soup. "What about a fish?" Pepper said. "First it's an egg, then it's a fish." "And that's all," said Jake. 2 things. On the second day, Jake had an idea. Peanut butter, he said. It's crunchy or it's creamy. And that's all, said Pepper. Then she said, what about a book? It's open or it's closed. But that was only two things. After that, they were so tired, they had to go to sleep. But they went to bed scared. If they didn't come up with an answer tomorrow, they would be soup. On the third morning, Jake and Pepper were really worried. Today they had to go back to Urk, and they still had no answer. Let's have some dandelion tea, said Pepper. It will help us think. So Jake put water in the kettle and put the kettle on to boil. Pepper decided she would have some iced tea. Soon the water was boiling. The kettle whistled. The steam came jetting out of the spout. Jake and Pepper looked at the steam. They looked at Pepper's ice. They looked at each other. Water, they said together. Water, like the stuff they used to make the tea. Water, like the ice in Pepper's glass. And water, like the steam coming out of the kettle. They raced back up the mountain. They didn't even care that the water in their goatskin bag was turning to ice. And they didn't even care about Urk's steamy, stinky wash water. They had won. We figured it out, said Pepper. It's water, said Jake. Steam, ice, and liquid, but all water. Urk turned red. Then he turned purple. No, he shouted. You couldn't have figured that out. Nobody figures it out. But they had, and a deal was a deal. Urk would have to move to the horrible land of Hooey, and he would have to wash his clothes in the great smelly swamp. Urk hated it, but a deal was a deal. He left the very next day for the horrible land of Hooey, but he left his dirty socks behind. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, happy reading.